Hey, and thanks for joining me here again today at CBC Coaching. And today we got another expert joining us today. That's what we do in our podcast webinar series is we try to bring the experts to you that can give you ideas and value, things that you can take to help you get to where you're going. You remember those dreams you had the day you started in business? We want to help you turn those dreams into your realities. So today I've got a really great guest with me. He's a mentor of mine. And I'm a coach, but at the same time, he kind of coaches me sometimes. Sometimes I get out and I've got wild ideas, and this guy kind of brings me down to the surface sometimes. And he's a guy that I depend on a lot. And it's a guy that I know I can talk to, and it's a guy, and he knows he can tell me, he said, hey, Jerry, you may want to think about that. You may want to slow down. You may want to do this. And that takes a really special person that you can have that kind of relationship. So today I'd like to welcome my friend Taylor Hill from Spark Marketing join us today. So Taylor, how are you doing today there in Nashville, Tennessee?
Man, I'm great. I've been under the weather, but I'm going to get through this thing. You know, they say half the battle is showing up, so I showed up. How's that?
That's it, man. Well, that's what we do. We show up and we try to get it done. Well, today, this is good because usually it's you and your partner Carter, and y'all are kind of doing dual presentation. And today it's all about Taylor. So I need to ask you some questions and things like that. So first, what I want to know, I need to know a little bit about what your background is and working with service company. And one of the things is you focus in. I mean, you can focus and drill down to work on people, and you do this so well. So tell me about your background and how this has enabled you and Spark Marketer to really be the asset to so many companies you guys have become.
Well, a lot of people don't know about my background as far as what I did before I actually got into SEO. And for 9 years, I worked for a on-location movie catering company here in Nashville, Tennessee. I went into the accounting office. I actually got the job because I was working freelancing in the movie industry and doing a lot of work in the accounting department. A lot of people don't know that, but there's sometimes 6 to 8 people in accounting departments, and you go in and you set the movie up. You're one of the first people there to help set everything up, and then you're one of the last people that are gone when you're done. And so it's like creating little businesses. And so I was working in the movie industry, and there was a movie here in Nashville and catering company here, and I was trying to get them paid. The production company was from Europe, and they were trying to get everybody paid off, and basically had a deadline, said anybody that doesn't give us a bill by X time, we're not going to pay them. So I had called over to this company and talked to the lady in charge, and she said, well, I don't have the stuff I need. I'm really struggling here. And I said, well, let me just stop by. You're not far from where I live. And so I just stopped by the next day and went over the paperwork with them, showed them what they did, showed them how the breakdown was, kind of went through the whole deal and got a check. And as I was leaving, she said, hey, I guess you're going back to England. And I said, oh, no, I'm not going to England. I live in Nashville. And she said, do you want a job? And I said, well, yeah, I freelance right now. I don't have anything behind this, so sure, I'll work for you. And that turned into a 9-year deal. And by the end of it, I was the operations manager, and at one point had 12 movie crews, on location kitchen movie crews that I managed across the country from New York to LA, Chicago, Texas. And so I do understand a lot of what these guys go through, having to do things with vehicles breaking down, the maintenance that you have to do. Of course, when they do their trucks, they're talking about all the things they have to do to make service calls. And what I worked with is food. We had to have certain kind of food, and I dealt with people from celebrities with their specified diets all the way down to Teamsters and whatever. So I've got a really good idea of what it takes to actually run a bunch of trucks because I did it, and I did it for about 6 of those 9 years that I worked for that company.
And one of the things I noticed, Taylor, whenever we got to know each other, in fact, we didn't meet for face to face probably 6 months. We had been networking on the phone and working with customers and working with clients and developing things for our clients. But, one of your big things is the numbers and how to put it all together. And I know I even talked to you one time. It's like, dude, you can't keep dealing with the numbers if you're going to grow a business. You got to get somebody to deal with these numbers. But from your experience, is numbers part of the challenge of operating a business today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter what type of business you have. If you are spending or have more money going out than you've got coming in, you got a problem. And if you don't know where to plug that or how to change that, then you're basically just sitting there spinning your wheels. Yep. I've known people that have businesses literally that make millions of dollars that end up going out of business because just because you make millions of dollars, if you spend millions more, you're still going to go out of business.
You're just going to do it more faster, aren't you?
You are. You're going to do it a lot faster. And you may do it in style.
You may do it with a lot more flair. So, hey,
Exactly.
So now you and this fella named Carter, you guys got together, and he came from the creative side of the electronic marketing world, and you came from the SEO. And for folks that don't know it, that means search engine optimization. Believe it or not, everybody don't know what SEO is yet, so let's throw that out there. But, the thing we're learning is, and we keep learning this every single day. In fact, I think you participated in a webinar from Nashville that I was listening to here in Concord earlier today on Twitter. So, but there's things changing every day in how you market a business online. One of the things I've learned in my sales coaching is that over 92% of consumers search online in the decision-making process. Anything from a small to a minor purchase. Where will I eat? Where will I go to the movie? Where will I stay in a hotel? What flight? Right down to what plumber, what chimney sweep, which HV. So with all this changing, tell me what Taylor's guiding principles are that the company, the owner, the manager of the small business, what's he got to focus in? Where's he got to drill down to be successful today, Taylor?
I think the number one thing for every single business, whether you're a service business, well, every business to me is a service business for some way, unless you're a surgeon, then you don't need to, have people at your disposal or whatever for an income. I guess that those type of business may not, but if you're dealing with the consumer, then you are a service business of some kind. But today, like no other time in history, it's so imperative to have good customer service. And the reason it's imperative to really drill down and focus on your customer is because the customer is your best marketer. At the same time, the customer is also your best detractor. I mean, it's amazing the statistics that people are going to check you out. They're going to check out your reviews, but they're also going to check your social out. They're going to check your Facebook out, your Twitter, and if you're on LinkedIn, they're going to check all the places that you are. And there's always been a guiding principle. People like doing business with people they like. And so there are things that, if you're putting certain things on your social and you've got clients out there that are potential clients that look at that and they don't agree with that, we teach this a lot with our clients is you've got to be really, really careful what you put out there. You want to make sure that every single person, no matter where they are in the spectrum, understands that you are a company that is trustworthy and has integrity. And the way that you do that is you focus on the customer, no matter what. No matter who they are, what gender they are, it doesn't matter. You focus on the customer. You give that customer a really good experience, that customer is going to pay you not only with longevity and coming back to you year after year after year, but they're going to pay you with referrals. And that's just the way it works right now.
Okay, well, you said something really interesting. I'm going to throw a question at you. So, from what I just heard you say, a person could post personal things, political beliefs, things about whatever on their Facebook. Are you saying that these kind of things could actually hurt their business, Taylor?
Well, it can do one of two things. If you only want to do business with people exactly like you, then go ahead and post whatever you want. My personal opinion, I want to do business with anybody that needs me. I don't really care whether they believe like me or not. It doesn't make me any difference. But if you're a person that it does, yeah, post whatever you want, because you're going to attract and only keep the people that believe just like you as clients. But if you want to grow your business, be a really a business that I think of integrity and trust for all people, then you just have to be careful at what you put out there. And I'm not saying you can't have an opinion, but I mean, you and I, Jerry, we've talked about some tough stuff in the past, and we don't always agree on everything, but we come at it as a place of with respect for each other and respect for anybody. So you can believe what you believe, but you have to be respectful in the way that you communicate. And I think that's really important in today's world.
Yeah, and I think you just hit a key thing, which is, yeah, we may not politically agree, or we may not agree on certain things, but at the same time, we still firmly believe in the ability of each other, and we firmly believe in the counsel of each other. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I think people have to understand that when you're in business, you are no longer a man on your own island. Everybody is viewing your island, so to speak. I mean, I know people that not only look at the business profile on Facebook, but they'll find out who the owner is, and they want to go look at the owner's profile. So, it's really, really important. We live in this big social world, so it's going to be important that you manage that world.
Yeah.
And it's manageable, but you do have to understand you have to either manage it or you have to hire somebody to help you manage it. It has to be managed for the betterment of your company.
Yep, and we're in full agreement on that. So you can kind of see. So again, you've got to remember, and I use another term for it. I say we're in a fishbowl, and if you see a fishbowl, you can see it from every angle. That goldfish ain't gonna go. There's nowhere in that bowl that somebody gonna find it, and that's the online presence today. Well, let me ask you this: there's obstacles out there for a service business to gain traction with their marketing. Let's face it, we got to compete. The consumer sees so many things. I mean, it was like I found out the other day, the average person's timeline on Facebook contains 1,400 items a day. 1,400. And the average Facebook user sees 150. So there's a lot of stuff goes on. So gaining this traction, and there's millions of websites. Who even knows? And so what's the obstacle for your client to gain traction? What is it they do in their marketing to really gain their traction, to do what I call own their market? And their market is where they own the type of customers in their market they're going after.
I think the biggest obstacle, excuse me, is there are so many marketing companies out in the blogosphere, internet, whatever you want to call it, that are what I call churn organizations, and they're all about selling. I mean, they got great pitches, they come in and sell, and they think by the time they're done that you have to invest in their product or service or whatever because it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then it doesn't work. And a lot of these are programs that the information is just put into a bot, and whatever that bot does. And if you don't understand how bots work online, it's really kind of hard to explain, but let me try to do this just in a nutshell. The robots, what they do is you can put information in, and they actually go out and they try to put information in the places that will fit, but they also scrape at the same time. So if information is not concise, it can be a cluster when everything is said and done. And if all you're doing is putting something into an auto system and they hit a button and they go, then they're on to the next cell. They're not monitoring and really watching if that's hurting you or helping you. And there's a lot of stuff in those types of systems that can hurt a client. So to me, the biggest obstacle is not getting sold, is to getting yourself educated enough, or at least listening to the right person. Now, let me just tell you a story about me getting into SEO. I was in the mortgage business. I'd gotten out of the movie deal and got an opportunity to get in mortgages, and I went into that, and it was great. And everything was hopping along, and then things started going south. And when that happened, we were all kind of trying to get to the top of Google and doing the same thing that these companies are doing right now. So I hired 3 different SEO companies to help me get to the top of the organic search. The local was just coming in. That really wasn't a play back then, but I really was determined to make this happen. The reality was none of it worked. I was so frustrated at the end. I ended up spending literally about $14,000 over the next 3 years finding different people until I found the person that actually taught me how to do search engine optimization correctly. It took me $14,000. Now that doesn't include what I spent on the SEO companies trying to get on the first page of Google. So the crap that's out there, I can't think of another word right now, that is wrong is everywhere online. It is very difficult to figure out who is telling the truth and what really is going to make things work the way it's supposed to work. So that's a huge obstacle. If you don't have somebody that you know that can help you with that, and you're trying to go through all that churn that's online, it's mortifying. You know what I'm saying? It's like going through quicksand. So I so sympathize and empathize with the people who are trying to do this on their own, because it's difficult. And the information, once it's online everywhere. It never goes away. So I pulled up articles, asking questions, Googling things, and I get stuff that's from 2005. Well, it's changed so much in the last 10 years. That article is useless. So, but it still comes up when you ask the question.
Yep. I understand exactly, and we see it all the time. And like I said, I think you've even told me about where one of the problems is websites that people have competing against other websites, and by having these dual presences can actually hurt them. Is that true?
Absolutely, and that's part of this too, is when somebody comes in and sells you, I totally believe in tracking. You know that. 100% believe in tracking what you're doing online. But you have to track the right way. And some of these people will come in and say, yeah, we're gonna get you a new website or a landing page or however they do it, and they end up with a tracking number and another website. Landing page, by the way, is still a website. It's just a one-page website. And so they've got all this out there, and it's actually competing with the company. I can't tell you how many times that I go in and I just do an analysis, and I go in and I type in what's going on, and yellow pages, Dex knows, super pages, all those come up before the first company that you're actually looking for that does the work. And so what that means is companies are paying these listing companies money, and I've got clients that pay up to $2,500 a month to these people, okay? So they're paying them to compete with them. How would you like to find that out, Jerry?
Well, that's
You were
what
paying, yeah.
That's what I learned from you. And that was, like I said, that's one of the things, what I've tried to do in my business for my clients is surround myself with experts because no one can be an expert in all phases of business. And that's what I've tried to do. And that's where I depend on guys like you to be my experts in this area and say, hey, tell me what we need to do. Tell my clients what do they need to do because the client needs to be dealing with what they do because that's where their true profit's going to come from, not trying to figure this maze out on their own. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And the other thing that I would add to it is when you are a small company, you wear so many hats, it's not even funny. We've all been there trying to do everything. So
Yep.
finding a company or finding a partner that can help you in certain areas, at least understand what you need to look for, that's a big thing with me. I want our clients, and we do a lot of educating when we speak, because I want people to understand that when somebody walks through their door, they've got the knowledge and the tools that they don't get sold down a river. Because when you get sold down a river 2 or 3 times, what happens is you throw up your hands and say, this thing just doesn't work. It's not working for me. And the other thing is, here's the big question to ask that I think is the most imperative thing for any small business to ask anybody that walks in their door. Whatever they're trying to sell you, are they really looking at building your business? In other words, are they sending traffic to your website? Are they doing the things on your social network? Are they looking at your analytics? Or are they building their business? And by that, I mean, are they putting it over here in another analytic program that you can tweak the numbers? And you can tweak the numbers on those programs. And people will say, oh, no, you can't. But yes, you can, because when I get a client that tells me that YP has just told them that 330 people have come to their website in a month, and then I go back into analytics and I've got 32, there's a big difference.
That's
That's a
something,
big difference.
that's one of the things that's amazed me because one of the things that you do for me when I'm doing a business analysis for a new client is I have you analyze a website from a distance. And the things that you can tell me about their marketing presence from a simple review and the tools you've got. I mean, you see things there, and I'm not sure how you see these things, but I know you could tell me really quick where the weaknesses, where the strengths are. Is that one of the services that Spark provides?
Well, we do that basically for any company that wants an analysis. I'll do a free analysis for anybody and
Okay.
just help them and see where they're doing good and where they're lacking. Excuse me. A lot of times, um, we talk through. I've got several people that call me almost yearly, and I go back through, and they've never been a client of mine. They're not knocking it out of the park either. And I know, but there are just certain things they can't do. They don't have the time and the wherewithal to do it. And so there are certain things that I'm not going to tell people to do because it's going to take them too long to go learn how to code something. So there's some things that I don't go into because it's just a higher level. But for the most part, the real simple stuff, the low-hanging fruit stuff, yeah, we share that with anybody. I would never withhold those kind of things from any company if it'll help them.
Okay. Well, let me change it just a little bit. Commerce starts when the sale's made. And the purpose of marketing is to bring the people to make the sale. But a lot of people think of marketing as just a little bitty isolated corner of the business. How does marketing impact and relate to the other areas of the business, Taylor? Where is the importance? Because I don't think that people realize how important this is as a part of the package, the total package of the dream business.
Well, let me take you back about 100 years, okay? And, 100 years ago, we didn't live in the society that we do today to where most of us are in cities, okay? 100 years ago, we were basically in small communities, and everybody knew each other. So you were in farming community, everybody knew each other, everything was great, and somebody did something that was wrong, stole a horse, for instance. What happened to that person, Jerry, when they found out that somebody stole a horse?
When they found out they stole a horse back in those days, I think they took them and hung them, didn't they?
Well, they hung them, ran them out of town, whatever, because that person was not going to be a part of that community. They ran them out, all right? So then we moved into the industrial age, and we kind of got into an age that now nobody knew each other. And so at that point, marketing was all about, if I messed up at this job A in that neighborhood, it was isolated, okay? That was an isolated event. I could go over here to neighborhood B and still market, and it was all about just bringing me people. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Well, then the internet came along, and now we're going back to that small town community. Everybody knows everything. So if you mess up over here on neighborhood A, everybody in the city knows. And the city's no longer, 5,000 people. Now the city is 5 million people in some places. So that's the impact of what you do. Now, marketing then, if you do not have a good reputation online, which is reviews and the things we talked about before in social media, so now you come to a marketer and say, I need more people. Well, most of the people that I know in marketing says, what's your budget? Okay, we'll do that. They don't look at anything else. They just spend the money. The reality is, here it's like, well, let me look at your reputation online. And you go look and say, well, it doesn't matter how much you spend, you're not going to do very well in marketing because you have this reputation that's hanging out there. You have to work on that first. I mean, I had this conversation 2 days ago with somebody, a client that wanted to do AdWords. And I said, you're not ready to do AdWords. You're wasting your money. You spend money to bring people to see all the bad reviews you have. That's crazy. You got to work on the reviews first. You got to make that right first. So marketing now impacts everything. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, it is everything that you do from the first touch to the customer all the way through to the end. I've seen bad reviews. I mean, I've got clients, and bless their hearts, because they call and go, how could this person do this review? We never even worked for them. But they made a call in, and the person that answered the phone just quoted a price for something, and they didn't like it, so they wrote a bad review.
Right.
I mean, never even got the opportunity to fix it or do whatever, but the bad review is sitting out there.
Yeah.
So it's about everything. And so you can't, marketing was great in the sense that, does it bring you opportunity? Absolutely, it brings you opportunity. Even if you do have a bad reputation and you want to spend that much money, you will probably still get some opportunity in marketing. Okay?
Yep.
No doubt about that. But the reality is, you have to understand that marketing today is a thread that goes through everything. I told this story about my daughter-in-law, worked at the company she worked for previously than the one she does now. She had a big deal that was totally blown by an accountant at her business. And this was a $500,000 sale. I mean, when you start thinking about that kind of a sale that gets messed up by an accountant, all of a sudden you realize, marketing is everything that permeates in your business. Every touch, everything.
And then there's also, marketing's at two places, the front end and the back end. Because I think one of the things that we're seeing in most service businesses, the failure to market to the customer after the sale. And we've spent so much to get them there. But that's where marketing is also involved in keeping this customer and turning this into a loyal customer. And where you're going from that, and where you're building testimonials and this type of stuff. So I think we're all on the same wavelength there. So I know you probably never had many struggles in your life, but maybe there's a few you've had. But since you've had Spark Marketer and y'all really coming up, have you had some struggles in serving your clients well? What kind of struggles do you face behind that computer, cause hey man, yeah, it's kind of a laid back world working on computers and all that, right? So do you ever have struggles, Taylor? Tell me about them.
Well, I think the two that come to mind, the first one is kind of an internal thing. I think here for us, I do think that we struggle sometimes to communicate exactly what we do for everybody because we just get things done. We're so much here about just getting it done, getting it done, getting it done, and we don't always know when somebody says, "Well, I don't know what you've done for me for the last year," and we go, "Huh?" So we've struggled internally with that type of communication. The other thing I think is that is a really big struggle with us, and it's kind of a strange thing, but we've had to realize that we just can't please everybody. You ever felt that way, Jerry?
Oh yeah.
Uh, I mean, one of the things that when we hire somebody in our office, the thing that we always ask is, do you have a heart for people? So do you have a heart for service? Do you want to serve people? How do you feel about when somebody has a problem? Do you want to help? Because that's really what we do. We serve and we help. I mean, that's exactly what we do here at Spark Marketer. So, but there are some people that do not appreciate that at all. I mean, zip. You can show that you've done an ROI of 1,500% and they don't care. They just don't care. And it's just been amazing to me, the reception of some of those people, and we've gotten rid of some clients because of that. Because here we're kind to people and we're kind to each other, and we expect our clients to be kind to us, and that's a big thing here, and that's a huge thing for me. You beat up on my guys. I'm not going to let you do that. I would rather not have clients that beat up on my guys. We'll find those that have a different type of outlook on life, because life is too short to allow my guys and allow anybody to beat up on us. And we had to learn that the hard way, by the way.
Well, let me throw this in. That includes the gals, because you got some super gals there too. Okay.
Yes, and I do include them in. I mean our entire staff.
I know what you. I know what you mean. I just want to make sure that the gals in that office know how much we appreciate them, because you got some super people there. I've worked with.
Oh man.
And they're really super people. And I know from my experience that your guys and gals jump to it. I mean, it's like it's phenomenal. One of the things I do with you guys is, well, I tell sometimes I may see something in a blog, and it's not even my client say, hey, you may want to take this line out or add this line or whatever. And I know it's like you were talking about a while ago. You got to tell people what you do. I don't think people do realize what you do for them under these monthly agreements. I don't think they realize the time. I know I asked you a couple weeks ago, tell me what it costs to do a blog. And actually, it blew me away when you told me what that cost.
Yeah, I mean that's what people don't know. I mean, everybody thinks, well, oh, it's just the writing, but it's not just the writing. You got to write it, you got to edit it, you got to put the links in, you got to put it up, you got to find the photo. You have to do all that stuff to put a blog post up. It's not something that you do in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And because you don't, it's the same though with a lot of service people. I mean, if somebody says, well, come clean my chimney, how long is that going to take? And the guy says, it'll take 2 hours. What are you going to do for 2 hours? What are you going to be doing in my chimney for 2 hours? That's crazy.
Yep.
So it's all perspective. But, these are the things that you just have to educate people on. And we're working at getting better at that. And it's not really to justify, but it really is for education, because we want the guys to know what they get.
Yep.
We want them to know, hey, this is what I'm getting here. This is awesome.
Well, that's how you build testimonials. And one thing about you guys, y'all have built up an impressive array of testimonials where people say, hey, you need to talk to these guys. And one of my favorite sayings is, you got to try my guys. And that's where you guys have gone, is you're that kind of a business that people feel confident, and you've gotten those testimonials the only way you truly get them You earned every one of them, my friend, and that's for a job well done. So,
I appreciate that, Jerry, but I will tell you, everybody in this office cares.
and I know that. I really do. So let me ask you this. I'm sure in your business you got successes you're really proud of. And more than likely, there may be a failure or two that, hey, you might have learned something from. So, are there failures you've learned from? Are they successes that you just really floating on there? Tell me a little more about the failures or successes.
I think the biggest failure that Carter and I learned from, we were still quite small when this happened. We had an electrician that, man, he was a toughest nut to crack I've ever seen. We never cracked him, by the way. Uh, and we bent over backwards. We were working on the third website when he just kind of called up one day and said, "Okay, you guys are not the guys. We're done." And I was ready to fire him. I was done with him and on vacation, and Carter just bent over backwards and said, "Let me do one more try." And then Carter called me and told me what happened. And that's really when I realized that we can't work with everybody. And so we're a little bit maybe more picky than a lot of agencies are. We were just not going to work with everybody. But that was a failure. That was a failure because we wanted it. And this is just our personalities. We really want to see small business guys win. I mean, that is why we're in business. It is when we see a small business win, and I'll tell you, two of the biggest things that happened, one is we were at the NCSG, which for those that aren't chimney sweeps, it's the National Chimney Sweep. Man, I can't think. What is it, Jerry?
It's the National Chimney Sweep Guild.
Guild, thank you. Man, my brain's not firing 100% on medicine, I guess. But there was a one-man, one-truck operation and his wife that passed the booth, went up, passed the booth, went back, passed the booth again, and I saw him pass the fourth time, and I said, "Hey, can I help you?" And he said, "Well, I just don't know. I'm in a situation where if we do this, this is big for us." And he kind of told me his situation. He said, "You got to tell me this works." And I said, "Well, it works. I'll tell you it works." And he said, "Okay." He said, "We're going to talk about it tonight." I said, "All right." So the next day, they passed the booth, they passed the booth, they passed the booth again, and came back, and I said, "Well, what'd you decide?" And he said, "We're going to sign on the dotted line." He goes, "But I'm telling you, I'm scared to death." And I said, "Okay, I understand." A year later, he doubled his business. And you talk about one of those fans. Yeah, he's now a raving fan of ours. He's not only doubled his business, but now he's using his business to fund a veterans horse program that he's going to be in. So I think that's awesome. So that's one success story. It's not our personal success story. It's his success story that we were able to help him with that success, because he's also phenomenal with customer service, I'll just tell you. So he helps himself tremendously. He gives us a lot of credit, but he deserves a lot of that credit as well. The second one is a husband and wife in the Chicago area that we had no idea when they signed up the situation they were in. And a year later is when they told us at the next convention. They came and they said, "Look, we were, I can't remember, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Think they were going to be going out of business. And in 1 year, they totally turned everything around, was debt-free, and then now really building on that." So, those two successes in that sense for our clients are great. I think internally for Spark Marketer, the biggest success here, I would have to say, is the team of people that have come together here. And I can't take credit for it. Carter can't take credit for it. We have no idea how it happened. We feel like we're the luckiest two guys on the face of the earth that we have got the team in place that's just remarkable. I mean, this team is unbelievable. And we're going to be adding to it pretty quick, and I think, we're just going to keep on going. And it's, people say, how do you hire people like that? I don't know. I don't know. I think we attract good people because I believe Carter and I, to our core, are good people. So I do think that's part of it. You attract the type of people you want in your life. And I think these people are looking for the same type of environment that we love, and it just works out really well.
Well, I think from looking at you guys as I have, I think one of the things you look for is, and you said it earlier, you look for people that have a core value that matches what you're doing. You're looking for people that want to serve the customer. So often, and I recently did a podcast on hiring with Ed Crow, who's another one of our network partners. And that's what we talked about in that is you've got to define what is your core values. You got to define what is the person you're looking for. Because if you bring the wrong person in, that their values do not match yours, it can be a freight train derailment. And you guys have successfully maneuvered through a lot of things. And you have developed a phenomenal team, but you only develop a phenomenal team when you got phenomenal leaderships. You got to remember, the guy that goes on the stage and sings, there's somebody got to set that stage up, or his sound really don't come out good. So you guys have set up the right kind of stage, Taylor. That's the thing you two guys have done that is just tremendous to me. So please take that as a compliment for what your leadership skills are.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Jerry. We try really hard to encompass what we hope is the right tone and the right culture here, and that carries on. And so far, I think we've done a decent job, and I really appreciate the fact that you said that very much.
You know that I'm not a hard person, and I tell you like it is. And, and when I tell you you're doing that great, I hope everyone in your office understands that's a lot whenever I say that, okay? So, because I'm not the easiest person to get to say that. I'm more of a critical type person. It's what I do. So, I need you to look forward a little bit. I need you to get out that Taylor crystal ball I know you got sitting around there, and that one you guys look into. But here's the thing. We know where we're at today, and we know that in the last 5 years, God, how business has changed. How mine and your lives have changed, right? So we know things have changed, but what we got to do is kind of look ahead. So what do you see are going to be the big challenges for a service business from an online marketing aspect over the next 5 years? What's the coming obstacles, and how can they prepare that these obstacles don't slow down their path to their dreams?
I think one of the first things that I would warn people is get your online presence together and do it as quickly as possible. What I've seen over and over again is Google tends to grandfather in, if you will, people who have been online and done it right for a while, so when there are changes, they have a little bit more grace. I'm not exactly sure how that works in their algorithm, but being online, having longevity is really big, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. So for people that, if you don't have an online presence or don't think it's necessary, you're going to be left behind, because we're going into an absolute world of technological advancement. You're going to see more and more things happen, I think, in the social realm. I think that's for a lot of service guys, I don't think they're there yet. I think the B2B is where a lot more of that's happening in a lot of the social, especially the Twitters and LinkedIn. B2C, there are some things in Facebook that's happening right now, but you've got to have a social presence. You've got to understand it. We're working really hard here to develop some things to help our clients more in the social world. So I think that's one of the things that's going to be coming. I think the other thing that you've got to be careful is not getting stagnant, because things will continue to change. And I also think, you need to understand that more and more changes are going to be going toward ads, because every single business online, Google, Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, Yelp, I mean, you name it, Twitter, you name any of them, they make their money on advertising. So, with that said, you got to be really careful that you don't get in a position where you're paying for ads where the people you are looking for aren't there. So that, I think there's going to be more and more what I call siloed ads, and it's hard to explain, but let me try real quick. For example, if I'm out and I'm looking for a product, if I'm looking for a camera, then the ads, people who are looking for cameras or people who are selling cameras are going to be in a different place than people who are going to be photographers to come to my home and shoot photography. I think the ads and the way that I'm looking at and viewing where we're going, those two people are going to be, or those two things are going to be in totally different places. And figuring out where the right place to put ads are, I think is going to be really, really important. Google is going to change. Just know it's going to change. And so tomorrow you might be on the top, and the next day you might be nowhere. And staying on top of that and making sure that you're ahead of the game as much as possible. The basic thing, Jerry, is everything's going to change. So if you like your business the way that it is right now and you want to keep it that way, you're going to lose. How's that?
That's pretty much it. I'm going to take you off course a little bit, into an area. Part of this is marketing analytics. That's how I titled this particular podcast. But I want to step over because I know that you agree that website is only a part of the marketing formula. I'm gonna ask you, do you agree or disagree with that before I go further?
I think the website is probably, at this point, the most important part of a company's presence online, because in the website you can have all your stuff, all your message, everything that you want to say right there. And I believe it is still the center of your marketing universe. No matter if you're marketing online or offline, you want to pull people into that online space where they can read about you and get pre-sold.
Yeah, to me, my website is my Encyclopedia Britannica, my world. You remember when we were kids and we all had a set of dictionaries our parents bought?
Mm-hmm.
You remember those days? I had World Book. What'd you have?
We had Encyclopedia Britannica.
Okay, so but you remember this was a thing, door-to-door encyclopedia salesman. You remember this?
Oh, yeah.
They would actually, guys, come out, and you would buy a new set of encyclopedias for your kids. And then we had to do reports, and what we did is we went to the encyclopedias. And that was a status symbol to have your own set of encyclopedias. Remember those days?
I do, and you probably don't know this, but both my parents were teachers, so you bet we had a good encyclopedia.
I can bet yours was updated every year, But here's the whole thing. I know that you have built this business that you have with an additional ingredient. And in fact, the relationship that I have with you comes from this ingredient. And I want you to speak briefly on the value of networking, because you're a believer. I know you're a participant, and I believe that your involvement in networking is the base of a lot of your success today. So give me how networking is part of the marketing formula. Where does networking come into play, Taylor?
Well, I don't think there's any better way to make an impression than through networking. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's at a baseball game that your kids are, whether you're at a football game, college game, or whatever. The people that you know and the people that you see and they know you and you can start to have a relationship with. Because, again, I've said it before, people like doing business with people they like. Okay, and there's no better way to become likable than through a face-to-face relationship. And the reality is that's all marketing really is. Marketing is a number of relationships, and through those relationships you get opportunities. It's kind of like when you're dating. You remember those days, right, Jerry, when you were dating?
Oh yeah,
Trying to win the girl?
I remember them fondly, okay?
Exactly. So you're dating, and you know one girl turns you down, the next one, yeah, you go out and it was okay, and then you find the one or whatever. So every time that you do a deal, it's like you found the one. Every time you make a sale, there's another one. So that's really important of networking in my mind. But I will take it another step further though. Networking a lot of times in the service business, you don't get the face-to-face. That's why when somebody calls in, that's the very first step to networking. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense.
I mean, you're networking right there. I mean, that is you're starting a relationship. So if people that call you, I mean, how would you feel, Jerry, if I called you and asking for your services, and I said, Jerry, tell me a little bit about CVC coaching, and you said, yeah, we're a coach and it costs XYZ. Oh, well, okay, thank you. Would that be the way you'd start that relationship?
I think I would have starved to death in 2010.
I would agree with you. And yet we find that closing, that from that first call all the way through closing, you can step on your own feet all the way through there. So one of the things I love about face-to-face networking is it puts you in a position to where you learn what you need to learn face-to-face, and you can transfer that over to the phone. You can transfer that to your emails. You can transfer all that over to other communication.
Yeah. And that comes in, the networking goes in, where you guys are marketing and I'm sales, I'm operations. But, it was like when we designed up my business cards and the things we went through just doing my business cards. You remember when we were designing my business cards and we were specifying the heavier stock and all the things, and we spend 3 to 6 months designing a logo and coming up with colors and all the different things. But then you do all that, and then what I do is I do due diligence on a company if I'm going to go do business, and then I go see and I pull it up and I see a website, a Wix website, a GoDaddy website, and it's like, to me, these people are not serious in business when I see this, and it turns me off as a consumer. Or if I go in and I see and the business, and I'm looking at somebody that they're sending me an electronic correspondence, and it ends in a gmail.com or a yahoo.com, or lo and behold, even America Online, AOL.com. There's still some of those out there. And, that's kind of an example. It didn't change. I mean, America Online, where'd they go? They owned the internet at one time.
They did.
I mean, they owned it. That was the internet, was America Online. And they didn't change. So it's like you're saying, it's the changes that we have to adapt to. Because this is the way it is. Change is inevitable. So,
well, and I don't know if you've read some of the things like that's coming down the pike with TV ads, very similar to what goes online. While you're watching TV programs, ads are going to pop up that you can just click on.
Really?
I've read some crazy stuff that they've got in development. I mean, it's pretty wild when you think about it. You have to imagine in 5 years. Just think of what happened people don't realize it's 2007 the iPhone was introduced.
Yeah.
That's 2007. That's less than 10 years ago.
I can remember seeing a video with Steve Jobs walking around on a stage with a computer not connected, and that was not that many years ago, and he was online without a wire to it. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And now, what do you mean you don't have Wi-Fi? Okay.
Exactly.
Cheryl went to computer schools when she got out, and the telephone. My smartphone has more memory than them room-sized computers she was working on in those days. It's
Yes,
unreal.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
let me,
absolutely.
so let
But
me,
I want to say one more thing about networking though before we
sure.
go to another subject. If you're lucky enough to find a person that you network with and you do a good job, and this is something I think that is really important. I see a lot of people trying to target who they want to network with and not just do a good job for everybody. Okay? When you do a good job for everybody you work for to the best of your ability, and some people are just not going to be happy, but that happens. But if you sincerely do the best job you can, you have no idea where your business is going to come from. I'm just telling you. If anybody had told us prior to 2010 that we were going to be, big in the chimney and hearth industry, I would have laughed. I didn't know anybody in the chimney and hearth industry, But when we had the guy here in Nashville come and say, hey, yeah, I want to do business with you, and he did, and we were able to help him, we didn't know who he was. We didn't know he was going to be big in that industry. We had no idea that he was, he was hooked up in anything. Who knows that stuff, right?
Yep.
But through that, that introduced us into that industry. And when we got there, we liked the people so much, we just decided to say, let's cut all these other people and let's go here. This is
Yep.
fun, because we used to do a lot of Fortune 50 stuff, and Carter doesn't talk about it much, but he's worked for some pretty big people.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that you just never know if you don't take advantage of the opportunities that are put in front of you and do the best job that you can every single time. You have no earthly idea what you might be turning away.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, we joke about it today, and you talked about it the Sunday week, but this guy calls you up on a Saturday afternoon, and you don't know him from nowhere. And, and you call the guy that he talked to, and you find out, that was a good conversation that day.
It was.
That was a magic moment, I think, for both of us that day, my friend. So
I agree.
Anyway, Taylor, we're getting ready to wrap this up. So here's my question to you. What else would you tell people of value? What is the message that you would like to leave them with today that they can go home, that they can shut this computer down and say, that was a very well invested time of my life. Tell me what's on your mind that would leave that kind of impression on people.
Wow, that's a big big question. I think that what I would say is not to get intimidated by the online world. You can get people to help you. We can help you. Other people are out there. Don't get intimidated that you can be as big as you want to be. You can do as much as you want to be, and just do it for all the right reasons. Be good to people, treat people right, and it'll come back to you. And just, I think that's kind of the way I live my life, and it's proven to be a very good way.
Yep, and
I just hope everybody knows they can win, and that's what we want to help you win, but we're not the only people that do things the right way online. I'd never say that we are, but that's our whole goal, and you can win.
You can win. It takes determination. It takes a plan. It takes a dedication. It's like, like when we were doing the summit and our Ziegler coaches were, and they were talking about, the Ziegler concept. You got to go a little farther and a little farther, and you reach a little higher, and you go for a little more, and you go for a little more. And if you don't do that, you settle in this plateau, and the plateau then starts going down. It never goes up again. And to me, that's the secret of how you get. It's like customer service. It's real easy. Larry Winget said it. You want the secret to customer service? Be nice. Just be nice.
Be nice. Be kind to people.
Be kind to people. Taylor, my friend, I'm going to tell you this has been a very valuable time. But I thoroughly want to thank you for taking time out of a busy day. I know you're not exactly on top of the weather, But we had this scheduled. You came through, did an excellent job. And if people want to talk to Taylor, give him a call. Spark Marketer, www.sparkmarketer.com. They will truly be a partner with you, and they can ignite your market with you, not for you, but with you, because it takes your participation. Like he said, marketing is before, during, and after the sale. Marketing is how we treat people. Marketing is the brand we carry forth out there. That's what it's all about. That's the secrets that's going to take each and every one of you to that true level you desire. Always remember, your business exists for one reason and one reason only. And the reason your business exists is not to provide you a job. Your business exists to deliver to you the dreams you have in life. Taylor mentioned somebody in here. I know the gentleman he's talking about. He's down in Louisiana. He's probably listening to this. He's got a dream. He'll get to that dream because he's determined. That's what you have to do. Taylor's faced his challenges in life. I faced mine. We all face these. Vince Lombardi said the winner is the guy that gets knocked down and he gets back up. So that's my encouragement to you today, that when you get knocked down, and we're all getting knocked down, what you got to do is get right back up, and then you're going to be a winner. And that's what you truly want to strive to be. So I want to thank you for joining us here today at CVC Coaching. Our podcast series, what we're wanting to do is bring the expertise to you. These are free. We don't charge for them. We bring these because we're trying to give you the tools, the methods you need to ignite your market, to ignite your dream. Taylor, Spark Marketer, the rest of my CVC Dreamtime. That's what we all work for. That's our passion. I want to thank you for joining us today. This is Jerry at CVC Coaching. Hey, follow me on Facebook, please. Catch my videos. Follow me. Follow what I do. My mission, my passion is to help you get your dreams. If I can help you, give me a call here at CVC Coaching. I hope you have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week, and hey, go get your dreams in life.